Good afternoon, everybody on the East Coast east of the Mississippi, and good morning for those of you who are from the West Coast or Hawaii. Thanks for joining us here today. My name is Clayton Sinyai. I'm the Executive Director of the Catholic Labor Network. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, the Catholic Labor Network is a national organization of Catholic labor union activists and Catholic clergy, religious, and lay social ministry activists who are interested in worker justice and Catholic social teaching on labor and work. And we're here today for a presentation of by guests from the Hotel Workers Union, Unite Here. If you've been traveling at all in recent months, you've probably discovered that at your hotel, they have not been providing daily house cleaning in your room. They have been phasing this out and providing the service only on request in many different hotels. This is beginning to have an impact on the number of jobs, number of people who are employed in hotels. Now, the hotels have been saying that the reason for this is because of the pandemic. At least that's what they're telling customers. In many cases, they're telling investors something very different. We're going to have a presenter from the Hotel Workers Union, Carrie Salgren, who is going to tell us about that, give us an overview on the situation across the country in Hilton Hotels. And then we are going to hear from one of the workers who's been impacted by this, Susan Galicia at the Hilton Hawaiian Village in Honolulu. So I will hand off the ball to Carrie Salgren, our guest from Unite Here. Carrie, thank you for joining us here today.
Great, nice to see everybody. I want to make sure I get my PowerPoint up here real quick. Can you all see that? Oh, let's see. Are we good to go? Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So like Clayton said, my name is Carrie Salgren. I work with Unite Here. I'm based in Baltimore. I want to thank you all for inviting us on to this webinar today and give us a chance to talk about a dangerous threat to hotel housekeepers. I'm going to start by talking a little bit about who Unite Here is. We are a union of over 300,000 hospitality workers across the US and Canada. We are predominantly women and people of color hailing from all corners of the planet, building a movement to enable people of all backgrounds to achieve greater quality and opportunity. Prior to COVID, we were the fastest growing private sector union in the United States. And you may have heard a slogan that we created called "One Job Should Be Enough," which is a backbone of our belief around organizing. We believe that one job should make it affordable to pay your bills, go to the doctor, and retire with dignity. Too often, particularly in our industry, workers are forced to hold down 2 to 3 jobs to get by, and we fight for equality and better communities, particularly fighting around workloads in workplaces and against discrimination and sexual harassment and assault in the workplace, and providing high quality healthcare. We have top-notch healthcare programs in our shops. Just to give you a sense of like how the money pans out, on average in the leisure and hospitality industry, the median weekly pay of a non-union hospitality worker is $597. For union members, it's $722. So that's just one sum of money, but many non-union workers don't have access to healthcare or a retirement plan. And we have other things like helping pay for workers' transportation to and from work and other legal plans which help workers obtain citizenship. So let me see if this is going to let me go through the slide. Okay, great. So the organizing history of Unite Here with Catholic organizations has been going on a long time. I'm going to cite a few things of working with the Catholic organizing community. we have, during a contentious non-union campaign, Stations Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, the bosses were being really, really anti-union. So a group of Catholic priests came to that casino and stood with workers during the course of that election during that day, so that workers felt strong and supported as they voted for the union. In one scenario in San Jose, workers were being told they couldn't march on the street, that it belonged to the hotel and didn't belong to the public. And a clergy member led a mass on the sidewalk to help protect the right for workers to picket about issues with their property. We've been part of hosting a labor priest training. We funded and provided training for the labor priests, and our leadership and our membership participated in that training. And on the topic of immigration, dating back to 2003, we had a partnership with the church around the Immigrant Worker Freedom Ride. I don't know if folks on this call remember that. It was to honor the legacy of the civil rights movement, and in the face of 9/11, to fight anti-immigrant bigotry and xenophobia. And we stopped at numerous churches along the route. We've also partnered with Clinic around citizenship work. The last two Unite Here presidents have been members of the board and partners with different cities on citizenship programs. And I believe it was last year in Dilley, Texas, Unite Here along with Clinic provided translation services to pro bono lawyers in El Paso prior to the border crossing. So we've helped in numerous ways, as far as from, labor priests helping us hold the streets in a labor dispute and providing translation.
Carrie, what is Clinic?
Clinic, can you say the acronym? I don't, I just said
Catholic Labor Immigration, Catholic Legal Immigration Network.
Thank you. I would have, thank you. Let's see. Okay, so to bring us up to where we are right now, COVID has devastated the hospitality industry and therefore the workers in it. At worst in the pandemic, 98% of our members were laid off. And currently today, 50% of our workers are back at work. So we're not yet back at our 300,000 membership. We are fighting around hotel rooms should be cleaned every day. And that's because hotel guests have come to expect that and love it. But we need to also make sure we're protecting our members in the job, and the work that they do becomes harder if it's not cleaned regularly. And you'll hear more about that from Susan. So I'm going to move through a little bit on that. Hotels are set for a comeback. So regardless of what you're hearing in the news, Hilton has a lot of money on hand. They've got $2.4 billion in hand. They've added 47,000 rooms. So while our members were in food pantry lines, these companies were opening up new rooms. And Chris Nassetta, who's the CEO of Hilton, doubled his pay during the course of the pandemic. He made $56 million in 2020. But they're making cutbacks to our jobs in the shop, from anywhere from food and beverage departments, and probably the largest cut we're seeing in daily housekeeping. And just to be clear, previously, daily room cleaning was an automatic in any property you were in, and you could use do not disturb to say if you didn't want it. Now what the companies are doing is eliminating that it's automatic and only getting cleaning after the 5th day, which means when you check out after the 5th day, the room is much dirtier than it was before and takes a lot more work to clean. So we've been in this moment before as a union. And just to take us back a little bit, where companies have restructured and operations to cut back on jobs. And so this chart will show you the drop of per room, the number of employees cut, which have been cut 20% since 9/11. So you can see that dip in the black line represents the number of workers who are per room. And then the red line that goes up are the profits of our employers. Let's see. And so this is a quote of how the industry talks to each other in investor calls. So, Chris Macetta is out on the street talking to guests saying, we want you to have more choice. But then when he meets with investor boards, the way he's talking about housekeepers and their work is that they're going to reduce the amount of labor that's needed before COVID. And you all might remember that they've been trying to reduce housekeeping for quite some time, including their environmental green initiatives like Marriott's Green Choice program. So this is not a new thing. This is actually a devastating once in a generation disinvestment from our communities. And I want to talk a little bit about why. So if we eliminate daily housekeeping, if that's eliminated in the industry, that's 180,000 jobs that would be cut from communities that need those jobs. And that equals $1.8 billion in annual wages. That's money that's going into some of the communities that have been hit hardest by the pandemic. Important to note that that's just the wages. That does not include the health benefits and the pensions that also are what workers are making at these jobs. And what's even more upsetting about this is who those jobs would cut, who they cut out. And that's 88.6% of housekeepers are women, 73% of housekeepers are people of color, and this slide isn't up there, but 54% of housekeepers are immigrants. And so, that's who's getting cut out. That's who the disinvestment is focused on. And they've won real high quality jobs over generations of fighting, right? Our union launched Hotel Worker Rising in 2005 to improve these jobs. And here's a quote from one of our members in Seattle talking about, she can't find another job that provides what this job provides her in Seattle, but by and large, she's the person that provides healthcare to her family. And what's even more upsetting about this is the jobs that are left behind. So there'll be job cuts, right? They're cutting out jobs. But in a survey we did of members, 92% of them said that when they have a room that hasn't been cleaned, right, throughout the whole stay, it's hard, 92% that says that room is harder to clean. And 72% of them said they've experienced pain, stress, and injury related to how much harder this work is. So not only, are we getting cuts, we're ending up with jobs which are much harder for members or non-union workers. And so this is a quote from Rosa Leon, who's been a worker in a Hilton for 17 years, saying that this is much worse. It's the worst it's ever been to return to work in these conditions. So I'll leave that up there for you all to review. Okay, so it's not inevitable. I spent a lot of time talking to customers, and customers don't want this change. The company is taking the opportunity to make this change when not that many people are in the hotel, so that they can come back and say this is the new standard. So our members have taken to the street and are mobilizing. We're fighting across all different parts of the United States and Canada. You'll see these images here. The one of the 3 folks at the Embassy Suites, they're leafleting guests, asking them to take daily room cleaning, and guests have been super supportive. There's the folks in the middle are in LA at a newly organized property, who the major reason why they were organizing is because the increased workload on housekeepers. And the last photo is from the local in DC, 25 leafleting. And just to give you some concept, the Hilton is standing out, meaning like this particular Hilton in DC is the only hotel in DC that's cut daily room cleaning. So only Hilton has cut it. And so these folks are standing, alongside each other to fight. So I think I'll end there. We'll just end it with this. We're going to stand together and fight for every job that we can keep in the shop and make sure people stay safe. So thanks for your time. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you very much, Carrie. I appreciate that a great deal. To recap, to make sure I understood I should remind everybody, some of you are familiar with this fact, that Catholic social teaching has defended the right of workers to organize for more than 130 years. Since 1891, the encyclical Rerum Novarum by Pope Leo XIII laid out and made that a fundamental principle of Catholic social teaching. And the situation in the hotel industry explains why. This is traditionally a low income and a low wage industry, but the workers and employing large numbers of immigrant workers, large numbers of women, large numbers of people of color. These workers in many of the hotels have succeeded in banding together and forming a union and turning this into a family supporting job with healthcare benefits. And they're proud of that. However, the hotels continue to try to figure out ways to reduce their labor costs and boost profits. And it appears that the latest round of this is that using the pandemic as a cover, the hotels are trying to phase out, specifically the Hilton chain is trying to phase out daily room cleaning. So now I'd like to hear a little, now we have an opportunity to hear a little bit from one of the workers that's impacted, Susan Galicio. Did I pronounce your name right, Susan? And I think you're muted there.
Okay.
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah. I'm Susan Galicia.
Susan Galicia, thank you so much. Please tell me a little bit about yourself. Where do you live? Do you have a family and all those kinds of things?
Oh yeah, I'm Susan Galicia. I live here in Hawaii. I'm working at Hilton Hawaiian Village Hotel in Hawaii, and I am working for almost 15 years. And before the pandemic, we are all 600, total of 670 workers, just only a housekeeping department itself. But after, when this pandemic came, we are just only not 600 or just not all. When the pandemic opened, the hotel opened, not all 670 workers at the housekeeping are back to work. So since
that sounds rough for a lot of the workers are still unemployed, so they've been unemployed for most of the pandemic, and they're still not working. Is that correct?
Yeah, they're still not working yet. Not all, the lowest seniority, not all of them are back to work. Like the workers who are working 1 year or 2 years, they're not back to work yet. So the rest, because even 20 years, 30 years before when we start, we're still on call. But right now, I am on the 15 years, I'm still on call. Today, I'm supposed to be on call. So
what is your job and what are your duties?
I am housekeeper, and I was assigned at that timeshare site as a guest room attendant of vacation ownership. But since we are more workers, but this kind of situation, we using the seniority, not the classification. Because we have in our place, we have classification and the seniority. So the classification is like I am housekeeper, timeshare side, then I work as a timeshare. And then the people who are working at the hotel side, they are the regular hotel maid. So I am higher paid than them. So, but during this time, we are using the seniority. So we are all working around the village, all towers. We never use the classification.
What are the duties of a hotel housekeeper? What do you have to do on your job?
We're cleaning rooms. Um, and some housekeeping are doing the picking up of the linens like that. But mostly our us as housekeeper, we just only focus on the cleaning rooms.
I see. And how is it different cleaning rooms when you're not doing it on a daily basis, when they don't do it every day, when they only do it when check in and check out?
Oh, that's very hard because before, when all the housekeeper working before before the pandemic, the workers are working happy, but now the workers are working sad because before they know the schedule already, which room that they're gonna work, so easy for them to prepare. But for now, you don't know which room you're gonna be cleaning because you are traveling. They're not gonna give you exact rooms in your floor. If you are a station maid, you're not gonna clean all the rooms in your area, in your station, in your floor, because you need to pick up. Some of the rooms don't have daily cleaning, and you need to pick up. So you travel for 3 to 4 floor. So that's very hard, wasting time, and at the same time, rooms are too dirty. They're not taken care of. Aside before, we're on the regular days, we can take care the rooms every day. So it's now it's very, very hard because for the 3 days, you don't have clean. You don't have cleaning room. You know what I mean is no cleaning room for the 3 days. So the time the guest asking you, where is our service? So, but we cannot clean that room if the room is not assigned to us. That's why when the guest asked me that, why we don't have service, we start 3 days already here since we check in, but we never receive any service. That's why I told them, did you ask to the front desk if you have room cleaning? Said no, because we expect that we have a room cleaning. Can you clean the room now? I told the guest I cannot make that because it's not assigned on our room. But the best thing you can do is you need to go to the front desk, ask them for the room cleaning, because that is your right to have the room cleaning. That is part of your bill. So that's why when I asked the guest, when she said, "Oh, they never give me cleaning for the room because they said lack of workers." That's why I smile at the guest because he said, "No, what is that lack of workers? We have lots of worker on call. Why they never call us?"
I see. I see someone, one of your colleagues has mentioned in the chat that the Hilton Hawaiian Village where you work is the largest Hilton hotel in the world.
That's true because not and the whole village, we are like almost 1,000 workers inside the village. So that's a big workers inside the village, big numbers of workers. So that's why we're hurting when we cannot go back to work, because not all of us can go back to work.
I've been told by some hotel housekeepers that they're more likely to get injured and hurt themselves when they're only doing check-in, check-out, and not doing the daily service in the rooms. Is that true?
That's very true, because when you see your room, it's so really messy, and then you are rushing the room because they said it is pre-reg. That means rush room or check in today. So you need to rush it. But when you open the rooms, it's like tornado. and then they call you to rush the room. How are you gonna rush the room? The room is so messy, and then you're hurting your room, running there, even drink water, you cannot make it, even pee, you cannot make it, because you have 14 rooms. 14 rooms to finish the whole 8 hours, not only 7 hours like that. If you have 6 rooms periods, and all of that, they call you to rush the room, what you gonna do for that? Of course, rushing, sometimes you are having accident because you are rushing just to finish your room, because they keep calling you, doing your room to submit right away because the guest is waiting downstairs.
What kinds of things have you been doing and your coworkers been doing to tell the public about the need for daily room cleaning?
Oh, what we did for that is we do the flyers. We or talk to the guests while we are outside the beach. The flyers is telling that you guests need to have daily service cleaning, and that's their right to have daily cleaning. So that's what we do, and talking to the guests. But I'm happy talking with the guests because I feel what they feel when I'm talking with them, that they said, oh, we are not expecting when we come in this hotel that we never have any room cleaning, daily room cleaning. Yeah, because before, when we come here to check in, we are happy and everything is open, restaurant and anything, you can enjoy your life because you spend lots of money just to spend your vacation over here in this paradise place. But right now we never enjoy. We don't have room cleaning. There's no food to eat over here. There's no restaurant. Before, that was before. So in the beginning. So I just talk to them that make them happy. I told them just enjoy what you have for now. But for the room cleaning, you can ask to the front desk, and we are willing to serve you or clean your rooms once they give you they give the room they give your room to us so we can clean your room. We are happy that we can clean your room because it's your right that you can have the room cleaning, and this part of your bill. Even you're not asking room cleaning or we have room cleaning, it's automatic charge on your bill. If you are not having room cleaning, it's your loss, and the gain, the company will gain. And it's a loss also for the worker. And at the same time, you can help the workers to back to work. That's how I talk to the guests. And then they're smiling at me because they said, oh, we don't know that. And I'm happy now that you tell that to us, that we can ask for the room cleaning.
Well, thank you very much. Before we continue, in a few minutes, we'll open it up to questions. But first, I would like to turn to the Catholic Labor Network's spiritual moderator, Father Sinclair Oubre, to reflect on what we've heard from Susan and Carrie in the light of Catholic social teaching and gospel values. Father Sinclair?
Thank you so much, Clayton, and thank you, Susan and Carrie, for adding your comments to this and sort of framing the picture of what we're faced with. Certainly, I can say at the beginning of this that as an employer, I face the challenges of making payroll, of maintaining staff, and there comes critical situations. Unfortunately, we did not face that here at St. Francis of Assisi Church or at the Port Arthur International Seafarer Center, where during the period of COVID, we had to lay off people or furlough people in the process. So a big part of that was the PPP program, the funding that the federal government provided to corporations and nonprofits that gave us the capital that kept us going. So I certainly, as an employer, I understand that there come critical times in which one has to make adjustments so as to be able to even survive through a difficult situation. However, as Carrie and Susan were talking, my thoughts went back to the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops' 1986 statement of economic justice for all, and they lay out a number of principles that are there in making economic decisions. And one of those areas is to ask oneself, how does this economic decision affect the poor? And that decision happens over and over. It seldom ever happens. Being down here in Southeast Texas in the petroleum industry, we saw at the beginning of in the 80s, just massive slaughters and layoffs that took place. And the response from Wall Street to 1,200, 1,500 people being laid off in my hometown of Port Arthur was that the stock price went up. Not that, oh my goodness, that these families have been devastated. We've seen that throughout middle of the United States in Kentucky and Ohio, of what happens when the economic situation changes and massive layoffs take place and towns are killed. I think of the book Hillbilly Elegy by Vance, as he describes his own hometown and the devastation of the economics that was there. And as I said over and over again, what you see is the response of Wall Street to the destruction of towns and family incomes is a rise in the stock value that is there. And that points out a significant type of injustice that exists with us, because we really do have to analyze how our economic decisions affect the poor, and affect especially those who are in the lowest level of our income. So we sacrifice the weakest in order to sustain the poor, which does not really bode well for the concepts of solidarity and accompaniment and the common good, because what you do is you go after those who are the weakest to take care of the situation. Just as a side note, we see this all the time at the Port Arthur International Seafarer Center as we take care of ships and the seafarers on the ships, and we submit to the shipping line their minimal $100 seafarer welfare fee, in which about 75% of them are turned down, as they're paying $45,000 a day for the charter of the ship. Just no proportionality at all. So just to share as a reflection in response to what was said, is that idea that we have from 1986 in the pastoral letter, Economic Justice for All. And maybe it's a good reminder of us that we need to go back to those old documents, as Clayton spoke of Rerum Novarum in 1891, and the wisdom that was contained in that, as well as that important document from the USCCB from 1986, Economic Justice for All, to give us some guidance on how to manage in this contemporary situation.
Much, Father Sinclair. That was, we appreciate that reflection. At this point, we have time to open the floor to questions. And I'm actually going to, you may raise your hand if you want to be identified, or drop something in the chat. And I am going to refer one to Carrie right off the bat, that I saw in the chat. The hotels are not reducing the cost of staying at the hotel, but they're reducing the service they're providing. How are they explaining that to customers?
Well, in some cases, they're accurate in saying there's a staffing shortage, but as that would be one way they approach it. The other way they're approaching it is saying it's for safety reasons, which at a time there was a posting by the CDC after the AHLA, which is the American Hotel Lobbying Association, lobbied the CDC for guidance to say rooms shouldn't be cleaned every day. That guidance has been archived. And so it's a twofold piece, but it's part of a longer conversation. The hotel said, first it was about the environment. And we said, no, actually, when we surveyed our members, they were using more chemicals and more water to clean when the rooms aren't, cleaned every day. So, it depends on the property, the way they're talking about it. Hilton in particular is saying they want to be able to provide their guests more options, but they're not really offering a new option because they always had do not disturb as a way to do it. So
I see. what can people who are attending this webinar do to support workers in Hilton Hotels?
Well, I hope Susan would agree with me since she's done a lot of leafleting on the beaches in Hawaii. But when you stay at a Hilton or any hotel, please take daily room cleaning. I saw some people said, what are all the hotels doing? They're all doing a different version of this. Some of them actually want to start charging for room cleaning. So just as a heads up, but we want to ask people to take daily room cleaning and tip your housekeepers. But also there's a petition that Paula is going to put in the chat. If you could sign the petition, that would go to Chris DeSeta. Thank you, Paula. And forward it to your friends or to your networks. That would go a long way in Hilton realizing that this is not something that guests want daily room cleaning. The other thing I would say is if you are part of an organization that books events at hotels, getting event contract language into your contract that says when our 300 guests come to this hotel, we expect daily room cleaning. It'll make sure that the hotel has the staff on site to clean the rooms, because one of the other things they're saying is, well, we couldn't get someone to come in last minute. And the term that Susan used, on call, is, I saw someone else in the chat had said, are they getting decreased hours? What it means is Susan is sitting at home on call, waiting to get called in to clean rooms because guests hadn't requested it. So it is a decrease in hours. Housekeeping is not a salaried job. So we have lots of high seniority housekeepers who are sitting at home waiting to get that phone call to go into work. And so when you ask for daily room cleaning, you're getting a housekeeper to come onto the job and to work. And the last thing I'll say, which you can just keep your eyes open for, we're going to have a international day of action across Canada and the United States about this issue on October 28th. If you're related to, we're hoping to do more publicity about it. We just decided it in the last 2 days, so I don't have any materials. But if you want to come out and support an action on October 28th, you're more than welcome to do that.
We have someone who's entered in the chat. One Bob King entered, I had a student in my class Monday who requested daily room cleaning and the hotel refused. Is there anything that can be done that the customer can do in that situation?
Well, I strongly, hi Bob, nice to see you. I strongly suggest if you find yourself in that situation to ask to talk to someone in upper management and not accept the stance that they're taking that they don't have people to call in. It's worth saying, are you sure you don't have people to call in? Because I would like the service. Chris DeSeta, the CEO, has said that if people ask for it, they should get it. So he could write a specific letter to Hilton on the topic, or go to TripAdvisor and write a review about it. And I say specifically TripAdvisor because that is the most trusted review site in the industry. And Hilton's reviews have dropped 4% in the last year, more than any other of the major hotel companies, as a result of people being upset about this issue. So thank you for bringing that question up, Bob. But taking it to online reviews is actually quite effective in this campaign.
Are there other questions people would like to ask? Has the number of rooms that housekeepers are required to clean been reduced since they're dirtier and they take longer to turn around?
Susan, do you want to answer?
Okay. For us at over here at the Hilton, the village, we have this in the contract that we are on the 14 rooms. That's regular 14 rooms credit. So if we have more checkout, they give us like 9 checkouts. They give you 11. Or if you have 1 floor or 2 floors to travel, they give you 11 credits and 9 checkout, but it's still very high.
I should point out that that system where they give you more credit for a room cleaning checkout is thanks to a union contract. That's something that the union has been able to negotiate over the years and existed prior to the pandemic. We have a question from Carolyn Bowden. Is similar outreach or campaigning happening with other hotel chains that are doing this?
Short answer is yes, in different ways. In the sense that we've passed several ordinances or laws in different regions that cover it. So in San Francisco, we have some legislation. The whole state of Nevada has language that the union has won. New Jersey has language which covers Atlantic City. So it's a complicated map because of who are our employers now versus who are the operators. And I won't get way into that right now. But Hilton has by and large had the most uniform implementation of this new standard, meaning almost every Hilton we see that's Hilton operated or Hilton franchised is adopting this change, and it's not as uniform across the Marriott or the Sheraton, though there are versions of this and have been since the Green Choice program.
And we have another question. Has the change, since the job of the housekeeper seems to be changing under this system, have wages remained the same or have they changed with it?
Susan, do you want to weigh in?
Oh, for us, we are on the wages because we have three different classification in our housekeeping. Like the GRAVO, they are more 30 cents. And then the personal housekeeper, it's like more on 10 cents than the regular housekeeper. So in that case, when we are on the higher classification, if we work on the hotel side, we still pay the same. And the hotel side, the hotel maid, if they're working on the timeshare side, they add extra cents as what we are paid on the timeshare. The same as on the VIP tower too. They add extra. Even you are not the regular maid on the tower, they add extra for whatever they paid on the tower.
But Susan, have your wages changed from when COVID started to when you came back, or have your wages remained the same?
It's still the same.
Okay.
Is this a subject that the union would ever be bargaining about with the Hilton?
Yeah.
The daily room cleaning as well as the wages?
Yeah.
Just to add, you have to wait till contract negotiations though.
Yes, and many of our contracts expire in 2022. So we are not, we're in mid-contract at this moment. Companies can always pay more than what we've asked them to pay. That's worth noting. Just because our contract says how much at minimum they have to pay, we don't have a maximum.
All right, are there any other questions for Susan or Carrie or Father Sinclair? Barbara Andelson? I think you're muted.
I just point out that if some of us occasionally organize meetings that take place at hotels, for example, I'm a member of the Catholic Theological Society of America. So they might bring 600 people to a hotel and they have regular communications about things like how to make your reservation. It would be simple to add to that an explanation if the hotel is, let's say we're already contracted with a Hilton. For a scholarly organization, trying to break a contract is kind of like a nightmare because we're all amateurs. You know? But it would be easy to tell our members, here's what's going on in terms of rooms. When you check in, be sure you ask for daily cleaning and get in touch with whoever's overseeing that part of the meeting arrangements. If you have problems, you know, if they tell you they don't have the staff or they just don't follow through on your request, let us know. And our chief negotiator will go to the hotel's salespeople and complain. So I would encourage people that have anything to say with information that goes out about staying at hotels for a meeting to bring this up explicitly and to advise people, you know, the politics of your organization. Either definitely do this, or you certainly will want to consider, if I were the president of the CTSA, I would include in my paragraph one of the sentences from what Father Sinclair told us. Remember that Catholic social teaching says, in economic decisions, think of the most vulnerable members of society first. Keep this in mind when you're making your decision about whether you personally, you know, if you know you have an organization with where you tell everybody, okay, here are the marching orders, everybody do this, you know, show up at the desk and just do this. Some organizations, not so much. But there definitely be ways to at least one, most guests probably don't know this is happening. And they'd probably be happy, both because they'd like a cleaner room during their stay, but for other reasons, to have that room cleaned. And so giving them information and telling them how to specifically go about it. Because I take it that the hotels are not asking at check-in explicitly, do you want daily room cleaning? Are they? I just, Carrie, are they asking guests at check-in?
So when we say hotels, it's a wide frame of brands and operators. So that's why I'm not going to say specific about one, but Hilton is not specifically asking. You have to give 24-hour notice. And so that means you're not going to get it your first night. And that's at the point you'd find out that you're not getting it. So if you're only there for 2 days, right? So I'm not going to speak for all the property, but I can tell you what the Hilton practice is.
Carolyn Bowden has raised her hand. You want to ask a question, Ms. Bowden?
Yeah, thanks, Clayton. It was more actually, I just wanted to share a comment of another implication that we could see from the reduced housekeeping staff and daily cleaning. So I'm a director of shareholder advocacy with Mercy Investment Services. We're a socially responsible asset management program, and we do shareholder engagement with companies, including we've done engagements with hotel and hospitality companies relating to trafficking prevention. And what we've found is that best practice for sex trafficking prevention in the hotel industry is partly through the sort of eyes and ears of housekeeping staff. And when they're able to access the rooms, potentially engage with victims, whether it's of sex trafficking or other violence and abuse. And so just wanted to share that as another negative implication of the reduced staffing and the pullback on the daily cleaning that we could see. So just wanted to share that sort of as FYI for this group.
Thank you. Another question that's been pointed out in the chat about amending your service contracts reminds me that a number of, for people who organize large events, frequently they negotiated a contract prior to this policy being implemented. How should they handle that sort of a situation, Carrie?
Well, I would say exactly what you said. At the time you signed the contract, the assumption is that daily room cleaning was provided automatically and that you didn't think you needed this language at that time. And the company themselves will say that they're changing the practice. And so I think that's an opportunity to look at the contract and to say, you're changing your practice. We need to have in good faith a contract that reflects that. I would be curious if anybody decides to get event contract language changes, how that goes. I'll put my cell phone and email in the chat. We would very much like to hear how that goes. And if you have any challenges, talk to you about different ways we could try to be helpful. To be clear, we are asking people to go to Hilton right now. We're just asking you to request service. So I do want to say, I want to make sure that doesn't get mixed up. We are asking people to go to Hilton, just help them provide more services. I also want to note that Paula brought up to my attention, and I want to make sure I clarify that we do have daily room cleaning language in the Hawaiian Village contract, so the contract that Susan's talking about, but the company is choosing to ignore it. It's not the case that we have that language in all places, but we do have situations where in our hotel, in our CBAs, right, our union contracts, we have language and they're choosing not to use it or to acknowledge it. So did want to clarify that piece. Thanks, Paula, for that update.
Does anybody else have questions or comments that they'd like to share? If not, we're coming up on the end of the hour. I want to give a special thanks to our three presenters, Carrie Salgren, Susan Galicia, and Father Sinclair Oubre. I want to encourage you to contact Carrie if you are involved in event planning and anything like that and would like to help. The more they hear from you about that this service is valuable and you don't want it lost, the more likely they are to change their tune about it. So she provided her contact information in the chat, and you will receive a follow-up email from us with details on things that you can do to support hotel housekeepers during this time when the industry is trying to change their work responsibilities for the worse. With that, I thank all of you for joining us here today. Really appreciate all of you coming out to learn about this issue. And I encourage you, whatever hotel you stay at, go ahead and ask for that daily housekeeping that you've always had in the past. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.